Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel where I share my stories with you. I want to thank you all for watching and supporting me. You guys are awesome. If you enjoy this channel and this video, please smash that like button like a Sasquatch would. It really helps me out and it shows your love for Sasquatch. You do love Sasquatch, right? And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel and turn on the notifications so you don't miss any of my future videos. I also have some more exciting news. You can book your own Sasquatch expedition. Do you love camping and equestrian adventures? Then you don't want to miss this opportunity. Join Rabbit Hole Adventures and let Jim Myers guide you through the stunning Colorado Rockies. You'll get an all-inclusive experience of a lifetime and have a blast. You'll learn how to spot Sasquatch, ride a horse, make a campfire, and more. You'll also see some amazing scenery and wildlife along the way. This is your chance to live your dream. For more information, please check the links in the description below. And please show your support by liking, commenting, and subscribing. Without further ado, we'll get on to the chapter. And thank you for your time. Keep squatching. Chapter 17. The Cave Expedition. As the first light of dawn painted the horizon in hues of pink and gold, Dale, Sophie, and Dr. Anderson gathered around the remnants of their campfire, their breath visible in the chilly morning air. Dale and Sophie busied themselves with the morning ritual of brewing coffee over the crackling campfire. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee mingled with the crisp morning air, invigorating their senses and fueling their anticipation for the day ahead. With steaming mugs of coffee in hand, they quickly discussed what needed to be done in order to head out for the day. Dale, Stephen, and Sophie quickly devoured their breakfast of trail mix and energy bars, fueling themselves for the journey ahead. They wasted no time readying their campsite for today's journey, their movements swift and purposeful as they prepared to explore the mysterious caves Chief Whitebear had spoken of. Before leaving, they ensured the campfire was properly extinguished, dousing it with water and covering it with dirt to prevent any potential hazards. The morning air crackled with excitement. Dale double-checked the straps on his backpack, ensuring that everything was securely fastened. Sophie adjusted the strings on her hiking boots, a determined expression on her face. Dr. Anderson surveyed their surroundings one last time, determining that everything had been taken care of properly. "All right, everyone ready?" Dale asked, his voice cutting through the crisp morning air. Sophie nodded, a determined glint in her eyes. "Ready as I'll ever be. Let's do this." Dr. Anderson offered a reassuring smile. "Let's stick together and keep our wits about us. Who knows what we might find in those caves." With a final glance back at their campsite, the trio set off into the forest, their footsteps crunching on the pine needle-covered ground. The path ahead was shrouded in shadow, the dense canopy overhead filtering the morning sunlight into dappled patches of golden light. As they hiked deeper into the forest, the trees grew taller and the underbrush thicker, obscuring their path and lending an air of mystery to their surroundings. Every sound, every rustle of leaves seemed amplified in the stillness of the morning, adding to the sense of anticipation that hung in the air. After what felt like hours of hiking uphill, they finally reached the entrance to the caves, a gaping black maw in the side of a rocky outcrop. The air was cool and damp, sending shivers down their spines as they peered into the darkness beyond. With a shared glance, they switched on their headlamps and stepped into the cave, their footsteps echoing off the smooth stone walls. The air was thick with the scent of damp earth and moss. The only sound, the gentle drip of water from stalactites overhead. As they ventured deeper into the cave, the darkness closed in around them, swallowing them whole. The narrow passageway twisted and turned, leading them deeper into the bowels of the earth. The narrow passageway suddenly gave way to a breathtaking grand cavern, bathed in a kaleidoscope of colors. Stalactites and stalagmites adorned the cavern ceiling and floor, glistening like jewels in the faint glow of their flashlights. Every hue imaginable danced before their eyes, casting a spell of wonder and awe upon the trio. With only one other discernible exit visible, a small stream trickling gently through the cavern, they made the unanimous decision to postpone further exploration and instead turned their attention to the mesmerizing beauty surrounding them. As they moved closer to the walls, intricate patterns and ancient writings revealed themselves, etched into the rock with exquisite detail. Dale, Sophie, and Dr. Anderson marveled at the sight, realizing they were witnessing a testament to the untold history of the hidden world. With cameras and notebooks in hand, they set about documenting every detail, capturing the essence of the cave's ancient wonders. Each stroke of their pen and click of their cameras echoed through the cavern, a symphony of discovery reverberating off the walls. In this moment, surrounded by the timeless beauty of the underground world, they felt a profound connection to the mysteries of the past and the promise of revelations yet to come. As they meticulously examined the intricate symbols adorning the cave walls, Dale, Sophie, and Dr. Anderson couldn't help but notice a striking resemblance to the symbols etched onto the enigmatic yellow glass discs that Stephen had discovered earlier in Egypt. Sophie pointed to a particularly elaborate symbol, her eyes alight with excitement. "Look at this one," she exclaimed, tracing her finger along the ancient carvings. "It's almost identical to the symbol on the glass disc." Dr. Anderson nodded in agreement, his gaze lingering on the intricate details. "You're right," he confirmed, his voice filled with awe. "And this one here," he added, pointing to another symbol nearby. "It's a perfect match to the one etched onto the surface of the second disc." Dale joined in their examination. "It's no coincidence," he mused, his voice filled with conviction. "We are looking for Sasquatch after all. And even though these discs are of Atlantean design, maybe the similarities in the writing gives credence to the one language described in the story of Babel in the Bible." As they marveled at the intricate symbols on the cavern walls, letting this new revelation sink in, the memory of Chief Whitebear's words echoed in their mind. Dale couldn't help but feel a sense of validation as he realized that the markings they had discovered on the yellow glass discs were indeed mirrored within the depths of the cave. "Chief Whitebear was right," Dale remarked, his voice filled with wonder. "He mentioned seeing similar symbols in the caves, but I'd never imagined they'd be so precisely matched to the ones on the disc." Sophie nodded in agreement, her eyes scanning the cavern walls with newfound appreciation. "It's incredible," she breathed, a sense of reverence coloring her tone. "To think that these symbols have been preserved here for thousands of years, waiting for us to uncover them." Dr. Anderson added, his voice overflowing with excitement. "It's like piecing together a puzzle," he exclaimed, his gaze alight with curiosity. "Each symbol holds a piece of the story, waiting to be deciphered." As they continued their exploration of the cave, the significance of Chief Whitebear's insight became increasingly apparent. "When we get back, if Oma has not revealed himself to us, we need to discuss these findings with Chief Whitebear," Dale stated firmly, his tone resolute. "He might have insights or knowledge passed down through generations that could shed some light on the significance of these symbols." Sophie nodded in agreement, her brow furrowed in concentration. "And if Chief Whitebear doesn't have the answers, perhaps there's a local language or dialect that could provide some translations," she suggested, her voice echoing with determination. "We can't afford to overlook any possible clues," Dr. Anderson chimed in, his expression thoughtful. "Agreed. We must exhaust every avenue of research, especially if Oma does not reveal himself," he added, the name carrying a weight of significance. As they continued looking at the intricate etchings adorning the cavern walls, a realization dawned upon them. Some of the symbols appeared remarkably fresh, devoid of any signs of corrosion or weathering. "These symbols, they're almost pristine," Sophie remarked. "It's as if they were carved just recently, yet we know these caves have been untouched for centuries." Dale nodded in agreement, his gaze lingering on the seemingly untouched symbols. "This means it's unlikely that Sasquatch left the area," his tone contemplative. "If these etchings are indeed new, then it suggests that someone, or something, has been here recently. Dr. Anderson's brow furrowed in thought as he examined the symbols more closely. But why? Could they be adding their encounters with us? He questioned out loud, his voice laden with uncertainty. We need to consider all possibilities, even those that may seem impossible. After meticulously documenting everything and thoroughly exploring every nook and cranny for alternative exits, Dale, Sophie, and Dr. Anderson reluctantly concluded that the only viable route back was the way they came. With a sense of accomplishment and a little disappointment, they retraced their steps through the narrow passageways, leaving the grand cavern behind. As they returned to the surface, emerging from the caves, the warm sunlight greeted them, casting long shadows across the forest floor. They made the hike back to their camp. Upon arriving at the camp, they wasted no time in setting up a fire and preparing for supper. As they sat around the crackling fire, the conversation turned to the likelihood of encountering Sasquatch during their expedition. Dr. Anderson had an idea and suggested leaving some items on a nearby tree stump as an offering, hoping to entice the elusive creature to reveal itself. One of the crewmen on the cargo ship, he began, his voice barely holding back the flood of excitement, told me about his cousin who had encounters with Sasquatch. Apparently, they would often take marbles and other small objects left out by his cousin. Sometimes, in return, they would find other items placed where the marbles had been, like colorful rocks and pine cones. He went on to explain that they didn't use food because any other forest animal would not hesitate at the free meal, and the likelihood of other animals taking a marble was much smaller. He even reported that they would take chicken eggs from his chicken coop from time to time. I asked if it could have been any other animal, but he laughed and said his cousin had a latch on it, and it was too heavy for any other animal to pick up, other than a bear, who would have eaten all the chickens as well. So maybe it's worth trying out. Dale and Sophie exchanged intrigued glances, considering Dr. Anderson's suggestion. Establishing a line of communication with Oma was too tantalizing to ignore. As they sat around the campfire, they deliberated on what items they should leave out as an offering to the Sasquatch. Various ideas were tossed around, from food scraps to shiny objects, but ultimately they settled on something simple, yet symbolic: stacking 3 rocks of different sizes on a nearby stump. I've heard that stacking rocks is a common practice among hikers and explorers to mark trails or signify safe paths, Dale remarked, his voice carrying a note of excitement. It's simple yet meaningful. Plus, it's something we can easily replicate here. Sophie nodded in agreement, her eyes bright with anticipation. I like that idea. It's respectful and non-intrusive, and who knows? Maybe Sasquatch will recognize it as a gesture of goodwill. Dr. Anderson chimed in, his tone thoughtful. It's worth a try. At the very least, it shows the area to be a safe space, and we are open to communication. Who knows? Maybe it'll lead to some interesting developments. With their plan in place, they carefully selected 3 rocks of varying sizes and stacked them neatly on a nearby stump, creating a makeshift offering to the mysterious creature known as Sasquatch. As they settled in for the night, the flickering flames of the campfire casting dancing shadows around them, they couldn't help but feel a sense of excitement and anticipation for what the night would bring.